Samir. Já está pronto? Já está no gatilho? Pode entrar, Samir! E junto com o Salim tá vindo Jim Starlin.
Olá, todo mundo! Curtindo o CCXP aí, espero, né?
Sejam bem-vindos, sejam bem-vindos. Pode sentar aqui. Eu vou sentar aqui nessa poltroninha amarela. Welcome! Take a seat, please. Gente, Jim Starlin está aqui com a gente. E temos legendas. Olha só, muito especial.
Muito mais fácil o pessoal acompanhar, então.
Sim, com certeza. Me conta, então, o que estamos fazendo aqui? Para quem está passando, para quem não está entendendo.
Aposto que tem muitos fãs do Jim Starlin por aqui.
Que às vezes nem sabem.
O Jim Starlin já fez tanta coisa, vocês vão aprender um pouquinho agora, porque Jim Starlin é um dos grandes quadrinistas norte-americanos. Criou vários personagens, já trabalhou para Marvel, para DC, criou um personagem próprio chamado Dreadstar. Que agora, inclusive, está fazendo 40 anos, vamos falar um pouquinho sobre isso também. E a gente vai bater um papo com ele. First of all, Jim, thank you for coming. Your first time in Brazil, right?
This is our first time. Yes, this is our first time in Brazil. It's my first time, and I'm loving it. It's a terrific little trip so far.
You just left the Thunder Arena, right?
Yes, we just left a big show, and
it's huge.
Yes, I am still a little bit stunned from it.
O Jim Starlin tem uma mesa lá no Arts Valley, então o pessoal quiser pegar o autógrafo dele, ele vai estar atendendo lá para todo mundo. É só passar por lá para falar com ele.
Legal. Queria então começar perguntando para ele como é que está sendo, já que ele acabou de sair do Thunder, ele deve ter visto toda a galera lá muito empolgada. Queria saber como é que está sendo a perspectiva dele desse evento gigantesco que veio com tanta sede ao pote, né? Faz muito tempo que a gente não vê uma CCXP presencial. Então, como está sendo para ele essa experiência?
Jim, this is the first presidential CCXP since the COVID-19 pandemic. So everybody is hungry to meet the authors, the artists. What's your first impressions about the convention?
Okay. You're saying with all of these artists meeting, what's your first impression of the convention? You can say we haven't really had much of a time to see everything because it's so big.
We haven't had a lot of chance to get around here just yet. Basically, from the door to our booth, and then to this stage, it's just incredible looking. You know, I can't wait to take some time off tomorrow and wander around. And we both want to pick up things here that we've seen. So we're looking forward big time to having a little bit of time with it tomorrow here.
This is just the first day. We have another 3 days to go.
We were here last night, but we never got to see it all.
Yeah, right.
Have you seen any cosplayers displaying your characters?
Have you seen any cosplayers wearing anything you've designed?
I haven't seen any cosplayers, period, so far.
Okay, they'll show up. They'll show you.
They will. They always do.
There is time. There is time.
The ones who are really scary who are the ones who show up at Thanos. There's a wide variety of Thanoses that show up.
Yeah, we have a Thanos hand right there. Right next to you, the hand.
We'll look
That's
for it
Iron
later.
Man's.
All right.
That's Iron Man's? Oh, no.
It's Iron Man.
Sorry. My bad.
But Jim, this year, it's 40 years the creation of Dreadstar, right? First issue was 82.
This is the 40th year, I believe, of the Dreadstar, and we're so happy to be bringing it 41 years,
41.
according to the accountant here. And Jamie and I have decided to bring the series back, and she's my co-artist on this, basically. She's listed as the inker, but in a lot of ways she's also helped redesign some of the characters, inspiration on a lot of the story in that too, and she's my main critic. tells me when I've got the coloring wrong.
I also made him start the new Dread Star because he wasn't going to draw anymore.
Oh, but Willow's remake is mostly you're doing.
No, the hole in your hand, you weren't drawing anymore.
Oh yeah, no, I was. I had an explosive accident with a compressed air, and I blew a big hole in my hand, and so I didn't draw for about 3 years. I just spent a lot of time squeezing rubber balls.
Don't say that. That
doing
comes out
other
wrong.
accidents. And she was responsible for getting me to draw again. She kept pestering me for this sketch at conventions, and it wasn't a Thanos sketch she wanted. She wanted Dr. Doom. So I was trying to ignore her for the longest time, but I've learned that ignoring Jamie is not the easiest thing to do. And so she eventually got her Dr. Doom thing, and I realized I could start drawing again. The hand had actually improved enough.
But is getting better, or?
Oh, yeah.
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 Last year I had a new graphic novel of Dread Star Returns, right?
Okay, what was the question?
Last year we published Dread Star Returns, the first original story of Dread Star in, I don't know, 30 years or so.
Yeah. I had told him he should bring him back, and he had just done this omnibus of all the stories from a Kickstarter, and I was one of the people that put money in for the Kickstarter. And I kept saying, like, you should bring Dreadstar back. And I think he came to the realization when he was editing and using the stylus, and then that annoying Dr. Doom I asked for, he was like, well, maybe I'll draw the book. You can be the inker.
Yeah, basically, I mean, you were the one who were responsible for getting me back into this horrible business, so I figured I had to drag you along with me.
I was inking Keith Giffen at the time, but Keith is notorious for not showing up for conventions. So I was sitting there like, I have nothing to do. So he did a bunch of Thanos drawings, and he was like, why don't you ink these and we'll split the money? And I was like, okay. And he was like, God, she's not that bad. You're great, you're not that bad. That was the compliment, so.
But
It's worked out since then.
at the end of Dread Star Returns, there is a possible sequel.
There's 5 books total.
What?
There's going to be 5 books total. And
5
we should
books?
add, the only Dreadstar Returns books you can buy are here at our booth. And once we're out until the new company, Monkey Wrench, puts them back out.
Is this the final
Uau, deixa eu
saga?
traduzir aqui simultâneo para a galera entender que esses 5 livros que vão lançar aqui na mesa do Jim são os únicos que serão possíveis de serem comprados. Porque depois que esgotar essa edição, só quando a próxima edição vier. Quem quiser garantir, tem que ser aqui na CCXP, porque não vai sobrar.
4 more after this one.
So
And the
3 more.
Kickstarter will start in January for the next book.
Oh, great. And you said several times that you want to make a final story of Dreadstar, and he dies in the end. Is
Final story of Dreadstar. Are you going to make Dreadstar die in the end?
Before I blew my hand up, I was working on that story, and one of the books has some of the, I think it's my art book from Ominous, has a few pages of that. I eventually will get back to that story, but that's not the end of the 5 graphic novels. I plan on continuing it for a while, but I'm going to have that story scripted and in reserve, and after I pass away, somebody else can draw it.
Talk like that.
It happens. We're all finite.
you killed Captain Marvel, you killed the second Robin, you want to kill Dreadstar. Why do you like to kill the characters?
I'm not really all that bad of a person, actually. Tell him how cheery I am, really. And
How cheery?
how cheery I am. No, come on, give me a hand here.
I'm actually...
If I don't have my cup of coffee, I'm going to kill somebody.
It was just...
what?
It was just...
Half of the universe gone.
Give me a cupcake now or I'll kill you. That's Jim.
It was just circumstances. I didn't really mean to do anything like that.
I'm actually a big fan of the authors that are brave enough to kill off some characters, because sometimes it's necessary for the story. It makes sense, and the character is rich enough that makes sense. So I'm a big fan of whoever's brave enough to do that.
Do you want to know how he killed Robin? Originally wanted to kill Robin. That's a question.
Conta pra
I
gente.
originally wanted him. I thought it was always a crowbar. Oh no, that was, well, yeah, my original thing. DC Comics wanted to do an AIDS book, and they, being the sensitive souls that they are, they put a ballot box up in the office, and you were supposed to come by and put the character you thought was supposed to get AIDS, and I sort of stuffed the ballot box with Robin's name, and they recognized my handwriting and they threw them all out. And so it ended up being Jimmy Olsen who was going to get AIDS, but then the actor who played Jimmy Olsen in the Christopher Reeves Superman movies came out and said he was gay, and that freaked everybody out at the audience, and the entire AIDS book got thrown away. So I had to kill him with a crowbar instead.
Cruel.
It's much more tasteful.
Very cheery, right?
Okay. Tell us a little bit about how you feel about the adaptations of your work for the cinematic universe, for audiovisual media, because it's a different layer that brings, and also new audiences can know your work. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm still reeling with the surrealism of it all. I don't think I draw or create characters that are role models. I do flawed characters, and because of that, Thanos in particular was so esoterically weird that I never expected him to be on the silver screen. The ones they grabbed up and they keep grabbing up, I would keep going, what are they thinking? I'm glad they're doing it, but I can't figure out what they're thinking. So that's why I do comics and not movies.
Well, but your work was a great inspiration for MCU, the Thanos saga and everything. You visited the sets of the movies, right?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I was on the set of Endgame, which was shot right between, I showed up just between the finishing of Infinity War and the beginning of Endgame. It was all very secretive down in Atlanta, Georgia, where they were shooting. So for the production's code name was Sharon. So we followed all these signs that said to the set of Sharon, who happened to be one of the producer's nieces. And the first thing you do when you get on a Disney set is you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. And I expected I was going to get down there and just sit around until they shot some scene where I was sitting in the background having a cup of coffee. Not the case. Marcus and McFeely and Joe Russo's have been dying to talk to somebody about what they were doing. So as soon as they showed up, they hustled me into a trailer, and they told me everything. They told me the beginnings and the ends and everything else. And for the next year and a half, because I had signed the no disclosure, I had to keep my mouth shut, which was really hard. Because every day I'd see something online and somebody go, well, this is what's going to happen. And I'd go, I don't think so, but I can't tell you what.
That's terrible.
It's very weird, yeah.
Talking about adaptation, any chance of Dreadstar has one?
We're working on that.
Oh, good to know.
Mysterious.
Had one
Working in progress.
We had one show in the works, but then the producer died. And that sort of put a kibosh on everything. And so we're talking to folks again. We don't want to do a movie, we want to do a series because it's a long story. So that makes it kind of difficult right now. But we're going to work on it. We're working on it.
I hope to see an adaptation soon because I'm a Dreadstar fan. I want to see it.
Do you have,
I
I know you can't tell us that, but do you have names of people who will be seen?
No, but I've got ideas of who would be great in stuff.
Tell us, tell us.
Charlie Hunnam would be a great Dreadstar, right? I think he'd be great.
He's amazing.
I think he'd be good. That's as far as I've gotten. But
Okay.
I've had a couple ideas for Willow, but she's got to be special.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah, we may play around a bit with the casting on that because there are some very strange things that when I was working on Dreadstar originally, the character Syzygy was supposed to be a black man. And I was working a lot with photo reference. And so the model who was supposed to show up that day never showed up. And so I had to grab whoever came in, and it happened to be Joe Rubenstein, who's very white. And so the rest of the series he went that. But if we go to a TV series or a streaming series, I'd like to go back to Syzygy being a tall black man again.
Well,
I just
also,
think that would be nice and weird.
You failed to mention Joe Rubenstein is about this tall.
Yeah, and Joe Rubenstein's only about 4 feet tall.
Syzygy's quite tall and slinky.
It didn't work out quite the way I expected.
Jim, Dreadstar, Thanos, and so many other works, Cosmic Odyssey, and etc. Why do you like so much to do Cosmic Adventures?
Why do you like to do the cosmic adventures? Like, what make cosmic adventures?
So I don't have to draw horses or cars.
Don't like to draw
Horses and
cars.
cars.
No.
That's gotta be tough. Tell us how you feel about meeting your fans and getting to know your audience so young, and some people who are much younger than your own work, than your own characters, and they're still relevant. They still matter. They still talk to us in a very current manner. How do you feel about that? And why do you think your comics stand the test of time?
Well, I think he gets a 4-year-old that comes up, I'm your biggest Thanos fan. I think that China shows how it's held up, you know, like that. I mean, a lot of this is before my time too, and before your time.
And usually when the 4-year-olds show up with saying that the Thanos fan, I turn to the parents and say, you got to get this kid into psychology, to therapy as quickly as possible.
Don't we all?
Just one question about your formation career. Which authors when you started, influenced you like the most? You studied the work. Which authors, comic book authors, really make you want to do comics?
When I was in high school, Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko were my gods.
Also Cosmic Adventures.
Yeah, I mean, Fantastic Four, Thor, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, I lived on that stuff. Along the way, Gil Kane, John Buscema, Ernie Colon, Jim Steranko, Neil Adams, these people all affected me in some way or another. Every artist I look at has injected something into my psyche to make up what I do. So basically, I'm living on standing on the backs of giants who came before me that I can never repay the debt to them.
Do you have anyone who you're following recently, their work, and who you think might have a bright future?
God, there's so many new artists. I'm always showing you new artists. But we're so busy working, and I even have a studio in Neil Adams' comic book store in LA, and I'll sit there and I'll glance through. But there's a new thing called Starhenge by Liam Sharp. And if anybody gets their hands on it, it's really, really interesting stuff. And there's Something Killing the Children, which is a lot of fun. And there's one called Little Monsters by Dustin, I think it's Dustin Wen. I'm a big fan of Dustin Wen stuff, and Frank Cho. Frank Cho just gets better and better. So,
And me.
Frank Cho. Any new artists that you like?
Oh, new artist. I was looking at somebody here the other day whose name escapes me at the moment. He worked with Ann DeCenti on a book called Oh, it's through Dark Horse. I just loved his stuff, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And
that's okay.
you liked Frank Cho's stuff when I showed
I
you.
like
as
Frank
well.
Cho's stuff a lot, too.
Yeah. I got to introduce him in Atlanta, and I mean, it's just so good.
And who was that guy who did the Tarzan book that Joel showed us up to? I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, there's a new Tarzan book, and this guy really has his work like John Buscema, or
He looks like John Buscema and
it's
Jack
amazing.
Kirby.
But I don't remember the name either.
That's cool. That's cool.
One question about Dreadstar again. Dreadstar is a creator owned. You have the copyrights for Dreadstar. And the first time Dreadstar was published, it was by Marvel, a new.
It bounced
I want to
around.
convince.
Epic,
I
Marvel.
want to publish a character I created. It's all copyrights are mine. Going to publish together. How this happen?
How did you keep the copyright when it bounced from Epic, Malibu, Marvel, everybody?
At the time that Dreadstar came out through Epic, the copyright laws had just changed. And in the old days, you could sign, the companies could make you sign away your rights by signing endorsing your check. They had it written on the back saying you give up all your rights. At that point, in I think it was '82 or something like that, they said you have to have a separate contract that says what the things are. And I said I'm not going to do anything but I'm not going to do work for hire work. I'm going to do this. And so Archie Goodwin had Epic Illustrated going at the time at Marvel. So it started off with the Metamorphosis Odyssey in Epic Illustrated. That did well, so they decided they wanted to do an Epic line. Dreadstar was the flagship for that. After a while, there was some trouble with bookkeeping, and Marvel and I parted company. We went over to First. I kept the copyright there at First Publications. Later on, there was a little reprint at Slave Labor. Then a very short stint with Peter David doing the Dreadstar at Malibu Comics before it too went under. And now one short, very stint at Ominous, and hopefully a longer run at Monkey Wrench from this point on. Fingers crossed.
That's awesome. A gente já está se aproximando dos momentos finais da nossa entrevista aqui com o Jim Starlin. I'm gonna let you to go backstage to enjoy CCXP. And thank you so much for being with us. Uma salva de palmas, galera. Muito obrigada.
Thank you.